Hello and welcome to the Slingshot channel. Today I'm going to show you how to install and operate the revolutionary Fenris Poe. So, let me show you its features. So I'm really proud that this invention of mine made it into mass production. And this is the first really available product. It's actually made in CNC and with the highest possible quality. Everything is just top notch. It's super expensive, but on the other hand, it is really cool. Made in Austria by the guys from Steamboat. And this is actually one of the first 100 pieces. Actually, we got 94 of them delivered by now. So this is number 55 of 100. This first production run is numbered, so I think they will soon be collector's items. I will unbox them today for you and show you how to install it. What is the Fenris? Well, the Fenris is a magazine quiver device for a bow. It is also an aiming device and it's also a bow release. All in pump action. Revolutionary new product. I think it turns a bow into a completely different weapon. But you still need a bow. And we are offering it as a package together with the great EK Archery Assassin. One of the most underrated bows on the market. I think it's the top of the line EK Archery model though. I love it because it's so adjustable. As you see, you can adjust it from 15 to 70 pounds. So this is like children and this is like big game hunters. And also the draw length can be adjusted between 17 and 31 inches. Again, you can give this to a child in the weakest setting, but you can also use it for professional hunting where it rivals top-notch bows. So only disadvantage is you cannot get it for left-handers, so it's a right-hander only product. And we will also offer it with different models later on that are available for left-handers too. And of course, you can also install it to other bows, but you have to just remember a few things that I'm going to tell you about. And if you open this up, you can see that everything is nicely wrapped. I will unwrap it for you and then we'll start from there, okay? Okay, we've unboxed everything and now I'm going to show you the parts. So let's begin with the biggest part, which is the main Fenris magazine. It's already semi-assembled, of course, so it's almost complete. As you can see, it consists of this, CNC machined, beautiful and anodized device, which is basically the magazine, and you see everything was done to keep it as lightweight as possible. It really is lightweight. And you can see that there is this spring-loaded lever here that you can actually put to the side. This is so that you can put the arrows inside of the magazine. And of course spring-loaded, so it has some pressure on it. Here you can see that they put a little bit of cardboard in it, because that's where the trigger sear device is installed later on. And you can also see that this is kind of shaped funnily. This is to really accommodate the special knocks that actually make sure that the arrows cannot turn in the magazine, so that they're always correctly aligned. And you can also see that there are these like rails here. This is where it's going to glide on the attachment part on the rail system. So this is actually the holder. As you see here, it's mounted to the bow. This is a version that you can mount to a bow that has two mounting holes for an arrow rest. There are also bows that only have one, and then you need a different version of this, a little more complex. So you see there are rollers here, and these rollers are actually very smooth. This means that this is where the magazine is going to glide in. And you can adjust them in terms of pressure with this little screw here. I'm going to explain this later to you. And you can also adjust the position so that you can make sure that the string is always perfectly centered. And this is the trigger sear part. As you see, it is comfortable to hold and pull back. And you can actually trigger and release the trigger with your thumb. So much like a thumb arrow release. As you can see, there's a hole here. So basically there is a thumb screw on the main magazine that you can use to install it in. And you of course first attach it to the bow and then you attach this piece. Otherwise you would have to disassemble the bow and take the string off, and that is not necessary this way. Now you can also see that there is an alternative mounting position. So this means that you can turn this entire handle around by releasing these two screws and turn it around 90 degrees. This is for people that like to draw like so instead of drawing like so. So it's a question of preference. Of course, if you want to install it upside down, you would have to attach like a screw or something so that you can comfortably press this without moving your thumb out of the way. The whole thing comes with a complete set of screws and also all the tools that you need. So everything is complete. You don't need any other tools than those that we have given you. Then part of the package is 5 arrows. Of course you can buy extra arrows, it's not a problem. You can also make your own arrows if you want. All you need is this special nock. And as you see, this nock here has actually a rim like a little collar, and that is the one that makes sure that this is not twisting in the magazine, so that they're always perfectly aligned and can't slide forward. And these nocks you can buy extra in our store. And this is of course standard threading, so you can always also install broadheads as long as they're 2D only or expanding. And then there is the user manual. This is the German version. I think the English version wasn't yet finished when I got the package, but there should also be an English version. If not, then there will certainly be a PDF to an English manual. So, but this video replaces the manual, I guess. So next we will unbox the EK Archery Assassin and show you features of that bow. So this is it, the EK Archery Assassin, and it comes in black or in camo, so there's 2 versions. It's always for right-handers. When you get it delivered, you also get these 2 Allen keys. So same thing here, you don't need any extra tools, everything is included. As you see, it has a string stopper that is already attached. So in standard, this one is set to full power. This means up to 70 pounds. And currently this is set to the 28 inches draw length, which is okay for most people. Let me see. Yeah, for me that would about work. Now this is completely irrelevant for the Fenris, because the Fenris is a completely different weapon. So the draw length has nothing to do with this anymore, and we have to adjust it differently. I'll explain you how. So these are the famous 2 holes with the threading for the arrow rests, and these are the ones that we're going to use to attach the Fenris rail system to. The first thing that we will do is we will remove this kind of plastic part that they use to expand the arrow rest a little bit, because this is in the way and we need to remove it. And the key, of course, is a part of the package. I've put the original screws back inside, so I'm not going to lose them. So next we're going to install this little protector here to the rail system, and there is a little bit of a film that you can easily remove, and then is self-adhesive. Next you need these 2 screws that are part of the package, and I just told you you don't need any extra tool. In fact you do. You need a matching Allen key, which should be easy to find. In this case it's a 6mm Allen key, but I guess there's also one that comes in an Imperial standard that fits. And now we install the rail system to the bow, and we do that in a way that it's actually attached to the outside of the bow, not to the inside, because then it would be far too wide. So we install it to the outside of the bow, and we move it back as far as we can, so that we can still connect both holes. Don't forget to use the washers that are also a part of the kit. This is how it's now supposed to look like. So you see it's nicely installed. You need to tighten them hard so that there is no motion in movement afterwards. So you can see it's attached to the outside, and it's also slid all the way back. Now when you look at the string position, you can already see that this would be now in the standard configuration way towards the right side, because the Fenris actually bended like here. And this is why we have these adjustable things. Now for the EK Assassin bow, you have to move them over to the other side completely. And you do this by releasing these 2 screws here. Okay. And then you can shift them all the way back and then install them again. And you can fine-tune this later on. And you do this to both sides. Now comes the time to install the Fenris magazine for the first time. And what we do to achieve this is we remove the thumb screw here and take out the cardboard piece. So you simply take this piece and then you put it inside of the rollers. It's a bit hard to do this so you can see it. Okay, like so. And then the string slides in between, and now I can put on the release device and everything is finished. Simply take the trigger sear device, install it, then you put in the little thumb screw and you're done. And as you can hopefully see now, the string is very nicely centered and there is zero chafing when this is in motion. Now you could probably say that everything is finished and we should start shooting, but let's not forget that you have to adjust the bow first, since it comes preset, but there are two adjustments that we need to do, the draw weight and the draw length. I'm going to show you how. Now the draw weight. Right now it's set to maximum and I recommend turning it down for using it with the Fenris. Except of course if you are out to hunt big game, then you want full power. Otherwise the Fenris is all about fast shooting and the full draw weight is actually quite exhausting. So I recommend dialing it down, and you can actually do this until, you know, about 9 windings, and then it's super easy like for a child. EK Archery recommends to only do this like up to 6 windings so that you can see no more threading here. But I would recommend dialing it down like 4 windings, and you have to do this on both sides of course, and EK Archery gives you this key to do that. But I like my own one that I put inside of a steel tube, so it's a little easier to do that. So 4 windings, and now the same on the other side. So next we are talking about the draw length. Now this is, as I said, set to 28 inches, but you should not forget that the release that we installed here is adding another about 4 inches to the draw. Therefore we need to go down in the draw length if we use the Fenris. You may now say that, but then it's no longer matching for my arms. No, don't forget that you're shooting in a different way with the Fenris. With a normal bow you draw out to like here, but with the Fenris you need to see the red dot. Therefore you need to bring your face behind the draw, so that you shoot like this. So you need to go down a little bit on the Fenris. The longest draw weight to be adjusted here is actually 27 inches, and that would be the adjustment number E, and standard it is set to D. So this is where you change it. You can change the draw length without taking the string off, simply by removing these 2 screws here. And now you can take this whole thing off, like so. So this is the adjustment part. And let me see if this focuses. So you can see that there are markings, and there is a table in the user manual that tells you what is the right marking. And here you can see this little notch. This is the little notch that actually needs to be put in the right marking. So as I said, you need to start with at least E, which would be 27 inches. But I like actually shooting it in G, which is only like 25 inches. So we move this to G, like so. Okay. And then you reinstall it and repeat the whole thing on the other side. Okay. So why have I adjusted this to this relatively short draw length? Well, it's because of the aiming. See, on this Picatinny rail here, you usually install a red dot. We'll do this later on. But if you want to aim through the red dot, what you have to do is you have to draw out the bow, and then you have to align your right eye behind it so that you see along the Picatinny rail direction. And therefore it is necessary that the whole thing is in front of your face. Now if the draw length is too long, you would have to put your head sideways, which is very uncomfortable, I think. Therefore I prefer this kind of draw length. So now we just install the field tips. Okay, very simple. In order to load the Fenris, first what you do is you lift this up and put the lever into its notch here, so that it actually has a resting position in here. See this one? So you lift it up and put it in here so it's out of the way. And then you take the first arrow, you put it in like so. And now comes the important part. Make sure that the collar of the nock is actually sliding inside of this like so. And then we load it up with all 5 arrows. Okay, now you see that all 5 arrows have been loaded, and you can also see that you cannot turn them and you cannot pull them towards the front because they're actually guided on these little rims here. And now you put the spring back into position, like so. There's one additional thing that you need to adjust, and this is actually the limit here. So, because if you don't do it, you can shoot the bow, but it would be very unpleasant. I'll show you why. So you draw out, like so, everything is fine. You take aim. Now watch what happens when I shoot. Did you see that this thing went back a little bit? That is because this rear part here is set wrong. It's still set to 27 inches. I adjusted the bow to 25 inches, so I have to go 2 steps back. This means it has to be installed to this position here, and only then are we finished. So as you see, now it's in the exact right spot at 25 inches. And when I shoot, you see it clicks in here. I can now aim and shoot, and the bow stays exactly solid. A little bit fine tuning. First of all, it is very important that the slide glides very freely through this, and also that all of the 4 wheels are making contact at the same time. So when you move it, you should actually, when you put your finger against it, you should feel that all 4 rollers are actually in motion when you slide it. If that is not the case, you can adjust it. And you have these little setup screws here for adjusting the pressure on the holders. The way how this works is very simple. When I put my Allen key inside here, it's part of the package actually, when I turn this counterclockwise, actually what will happen is that then the gap will actually close down, and this will mean that automatically it will be a little bit harder. When I pull this in, actually this will be pressed apart, so this slot widens and the pressure on the magazine will actually go down. So this is how you adjust the play. So now the installation of the whole thing is pretty much finished. As you see, it's now a completely different weapon. It has no room for any arrows. It shoots exactly where you're aiming at. There's no play, there's no right or wrong way to draw it out. It's very controlled, it's very easy to draw, it's very quick firing. So it is finished, and basically now we are at the stage where we talk about accessories. Additional things that you don't have to have, but they're very nice to have. Most important, and actually super recommended, is a red dot sight. There's a lot of products on the market, and you can actually choose the one that you like the best. I've chosen a very standard first strike model here. It's certainly made in China somewhere, but make sure that you get this for the 22mm Picatinny rail, not for the 11mm dovetail rail. Actually, this one can do both. Just turn these things around here. But in any case, that is what you should get. You can buy this at Go Gun, but you can of course also get it in pretty much every gun store in the world or on Amazon. The installation is really super easy. You simply take this thing, you put it on the position you want, tighten the screws, and then you're done. So the target that we need to sight the bow in. Please make sure that you always shoot at an archery mat. It doesn't really matter what brand it is, as long as it is for a powerful bow. Because if you shoot with one of these arrows against any other thing but an archery mat, for example a tree stump or a shed wall, chances are the arrow is going to be gone, broken. And these arrows are not cheap, so I really recommend investing a little money into an archery mat. You can get them in every archery store or on Amazon or everywhere. So I really recommend doing this. Once you've done this, I recommend using not just one target in the middle, because first of all, the target man is going to be shot out really quick here. Second, the arrows are not supposed to hit each other, because then they will be damaged too. Therefore, with a 5-shot bow, you shoot at one target with each arrow, so that the chances are absolutely low that you hit your own arrow with it and destroy it. So for the first shot, we try to aim one arrow into the middle. Chances are it's going to be far off, and therefore we don't want to lose the arrow, so we're targeting it into the middle. And then we'll adjust it as long as we're halfway in there, and then we go to the fine tuning. Okay, let's see where it went. Almost bullseye. No. I was aiming at this spot here. So we have to go up and left. So this one marked as up to counterclockwise, and here it's marked to left, also counterclockwise. I'll give them 2 turns each. Okay. And now we try again, just one shot into the middle. Have a look again. So we've been going a little bit too far. So we are a little bit too far to the left and a little bit too high. Therefore we can give it like about half a turn back in the horizontal direction and about, I would say, 20%, yeah, well, maybe 40% back into the vertical direction. So this one doesn't count because I felt that I shot too high, so we have to strike this one. Other than that, I can see that we need to bring it over a little bit to the right and a little bit high, but we're almost there. The next really handy accessory is this little thing here. Yes, this is actually, it looks like a trigger, but it's actually a holder. It is so that you can actually support the bow in drawing condition with your index finger, making it even easier to hit. And as you see now in the adjusted full draw, you have a lot of different mounting positions for this little lever, and you simply install it so that it actually, you have two different ways. You can either install it in a way that it definitely hits this, so you can have full control, but you can also leave some space so that you can actually still cock it the normal way and only grab it when you stretch out your finger. So this way has the advantage that you are not going to smash your finger when you draw out. Forget stretching out the index finger. So here it is installed. As you see, it's just attached to the Fenris. Now when I draw out, it's not touching my finger, so I'm not clamping in my finger in any way. But what I can always do is I can stretch it out and hold it like so, just like you would hold the trigger of a gun. And now see what I can do. I can release the entire thing and just hold it with my finger. Because the bow is in its let-off position, this means the draw weight at this point is very low. But it's super helpful to actually be able to shoot it this way. So much more stable. And so the next thing that the Steambow guys have developed that I can't show you yet because the sample didn't arrive. You see there's an additional mounting hole set up here. And this is for a laser that's been designed for this bow. So this is not a laser that is made for firearms and just been adopted for it. No, it's specifically designed for the Fenris. It's super bright and can be attached here, so it's not in the way of the red dot. And this gives you great aiming capabilities, specifically at night and when you do instinctive shooting. Then there is the alternative holder for bows like this one. So this actually is a Top Point Archery M1. And as you see, it only has one threaded hole for an arrow rest. And therefore, in order to mount it in a way that is stable, you need more attachment points, and you usually use the attachment points for the sighting system, for a bow sighting system, that you're not going to need for the Fenris, obviously. So I mounted this to a recurve, a takedown recurve, although I had to make myself a little adapter board for this, since this recurve was a little different. But you see there's only one mounting hole for the arrow rest. I used this one here. And you can see that this here actually allows you to mount it to sighting systems where the positions are not standardized, but this system allows you to always have at least 2, if not 3 points where you can mount this. So this is cost extra. It's an alternative rail system. And then of course you have arrows, and you have the nocks if you want to make your own arrows. So there's also of course expandable broadheads and 2D broadheads that you can also fit. As you see, there's plenty of room here in the front of the part, so you can use really big 2D broadheads. But other than that, I think I've shown you the whole device. It's now perfectly attuned and fitted. It's a lot of fun and I recommend it. Although I have to say that I don't like this red dot much. I mean, the model here is not super. It's kind of a small sighting window. I don't like it very much, so I probably exchange it against another one. I like the ones that you can get for the EK Archery Adder. So this is my personal Fenris, and I like this model a lot more because you actually have a much wider field of sight. I'd like to finish the video by showing you something that is still in development, because here at the Slingshot channel we never stop. So in this case what I've done is I've added this little device to my personal setup. As you see, I was using the original holes for this little lip that is standard in here, and I installed this to here, installed a little plate here in the front, like here. And what this is now the crossbow conversion kit. Let me show you its features. So basically you do what you always do with the Fenris, you draw it out. What was that? Magic? No. Look what I can now do. The bow keeps itself drawn out. I don't have to do anything, because here in the front you can see that this latch has simply engaged. Can you see it? And so therefore it's now a crossbow. It's legally and technically now a crossbow. And of course I can also, by pulling this front trigger, I can of course relax it again. But this means that I can now keep it cocked as long as I want to, which I think with this simple little device, which is already only a single moving part, is a great little addition to it. Of course it replaces this little red front lever holder, but I think that it's actually very good for people that like to sit in a tree stand and do some hunting with a bow that now is a crossbow. So. And now if I want to repeat, I simply press the trigger and repeat. This is actually an optional product that will probably hit the market in a few months, let's see. And there's no change on the Fenris, it just installs to the existing mounting holes. So you will be able to upgrade your Fenris. So, I hope you like this and have fun with your Fenris bow. Because that's it for today. Thanks and bye. Bye.